Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ignace Aleya and today I'm gonna be reviewing this camera. Whew. I got you there, huh? But this little camera is the Panasonic FT7. It's waterproof, you can even put it in the freezer. And it's also shockproof, but I'm not gonna show you that one because it's actually a test model. Panasonic sent me this one out so I can test it, review it for you guys, so you can just take my word for it. Alright, so today I'm going to jump into this pool together with my girlfriend and I'm going to try this camera out. We're going to test it in photo quality. I'm also going to be editing this photo later in this video with Lightroom, so if you want to check that out, stay tuned. And apart from that, I'm also going to test out the film capacity of this camera and the overall quality. I'm pretty excited about this camera because it doesn't look like a waterproof housing, but it is. Super nice. Alright, let's get started. How is the water? Alright, so we are done with the shoot. I'm now in the studio, imported all the photos on my computer. I have shot everything on this little camera from Panasonic, the FT7, and my final thoughts on this little camera is it's a great, super great camera for families. It has a great zoom, it's completely shockproof, dustproof, and waterproof, which is great if you're going on vacations. It fits in the pocket and shoots 4K video and shoots some great images. The only downside, in my personal preference, is that it doesn't shoot raw photos. So if you're a professional and you're looking for raw photos, this camera does not allow you to do that, but it does offer you very great quality images in JPEG format. So it really depends on your own preference. I'm kind of a little bit disappointed that I didn't have the RAW function on this camera because you don't have the full range of editing your photos. So I would really prefer to have like this function available. But of course, there are a lot of cameras that offer that mode but aren't really kind of real raw photos. Like for example, my smartphone offers raw photography, but the quality of this camera is of course a lot better just in JPEG. So I just wanted to get that out there, but it's definitely a great tool to have as a kind of hobby photographer, videographer that doesn't want to take up too much space while traveling. But I would really love to redo this video and shooting the photos on my GH5S, but then in a waterproof casing. I think that would be really awesome. I've never done that before. I chose one picture that I really like. Let's jump on the computer in Lightroom and see how we can edit that photo as good as possible. So I want to show you some techniques that I use to create the final result. So this is the photo that we're going to be working with, and this is the result that I created at first. So I'm not going to do this video on a script-based manner. I'm just going in Lightroom, jumping in there, playing a little bit with the tools and see what we can come up with. So let's get started. Alright, so here I am in Adobe Lightroom, and as you can see, this is the photo I took. It's not 100% sharp. Some of them are, but this pose was just something that I really liked for my video to do my edit on. So the first thing that I like to do is see this reflection, and that's kind of really unique. That gives it like this magical portal feeling, which I want to use. But of course, because it's on top, it's very obvious it's in the water, so we want to change that. So the first thing that I'll do is right click here on my image and then just go for a rotate left, so counterclockwise. And if we click on that, we have something like this, which is really cool. But also something that you see is it's going to the left. It looks like she's going away from something. So really, these things are very important to think of. If someone goes to the left in your photo, it's like he's running away from something. It just gives that feeling. And if you would go and right click, transform and flip horizontal, it's like she's going somewhere, maybe somewhere better through that portal. So that's kind of the story behind my photo. A photo is not just a photo. A story should consist of a story. And yes, I do admit that I'm not the best at storytelling at this moment. I'm really training on that. It's something that attracts me a lot, but I would see that as my skill that I really have to improve upon. But the only way of improving the skill is just by doing it often and more and more and more, and just releasing it, looking at feedback, and just doing it again. Okay, let's get started. We're not going to talk too much nonsense here. We're going to start right away. So I'm going to scroll here all the way to the top, and the first thing that I want to look at is at the white balance. And what I always try at first is just go and choose auto, see what that does. In this case, it's completely a mess up because it's underwater and it's not a kind of natural color. So then I would go and play around with the settings here, maybe make it a little bit warmer. And then we can also play with the purple. I would like to introduce some purple because that kind of brings my skin tones back, which I really like. Then I will also introduce some saturation here to give this color a little bit more of a pop. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay. So I think this looks pretty good. Then I will also introduce some contrast. I think that could add this photo to make it look pretty beautiful. Okay. Let's play with the exposure. The exposure was quite on point. Also, I shot everything on automatic. I just wanted to see what this camera is capable of out of the box without messing too much with the settings. So I also didn't have it for a very long time, so I didn't have much time to play too much with this camera. But I would play with the highlights and shadows and see what I can come up with. Something like this looks pretty cool. Okay, the clarity. Maybe we want to introduce a little bit of clarity, but not on our model. So what I'll do is reset this and choose for a radial filter. I'm going to drag my radial filter on top of my image. Well, actually, I'm going to undo that and start from the center like this, something over here. We can reposition it, and then I'm going to reset my highlights and just increase the clarity here so we have the surrounding that really pops the image. We can play a little bit more with the dehaze function maybe, and a little bit more saturation. Let's see what we can do more here. Okay, I think I like the standard way here. And filter, we can also feather it a little bit more, and there we go. Once you're done, you click on the button done for your filter, and we can move on with our photo. I'm not going to touch the tone curves here. I'm going to jump right away in the hue here. And here you can actually modify the colors, which is really, really cool. I kind of modify the colors all the time on my photos. It just allows you to get a little bit more creative with it. So there are not much reds in here, neither orange or yellows. Let's see if we have some yellows in there. We don't really have yellows. And neither do we have green. It's more all towards the blue color. So let's play around with the blue a little bit. Maybe we want to make it a little bit more cyan or a little bit more turquoise. Something like this looks pretty cool. Yeah, there we have it. Then I will jump into the saturation tab here and again boost maybe the blues a little bit more. Go into the luminance channel and also play around with the lightness of the blues, because as you can see, you can do a lot with these as well. So I'm going to brighten up the blues because that gives it this nice highlight, this kind of magical tone. Really cool. For the highlights, we can introduce the saturation and see what we can do with these highlights. Maybe we can give it a nice different kind of color. Okay, I'm going to keep it here, a low saturation and in the blue tone. Then for the sharpening, I'm also going to introduce some sharpening because our image wasn't that sharp from to begin with, so we have to look at that a little bit better. Of course, I do have some problems here, so I'm going to check what the problem is causing here. Maybe it's the saturation itself. And that's what I'm actually telling. That was actually what I was telling in the beginning of this video. This is what happens if you don't have a raw photo. You kind of mess up in these editing parts right here. So I don't really enjoy those. So unfortunately, I don't have the luxury to work with a raw photo here. So for the noise reduction, I'm going to increase that a little bit so we can get rid of the noise here. Let's see what we can do here. I think this looks okay. We're going to keep it just like this. Okay, so what I wanted to do with this photo is I wanted to give the impression that you're going through a portal, through the light, where it's all better. I'm just going to lower the contrast just a little bit because I think some parts are a little bit too dark, especially here. So I'll bring up the blacks just a touch. There we go. Okay, let's continue. So I'm going to decrease the amount here for the vignetting. And that looks also much better. And then I want to give that impression, like I said, so I'm going to use a graduated filter. I'm just going to start from here and bring it towards her, and then I want to brighten this up. So I'm going to reset the highlights and just introduce the exposure here to brighten up the portal. You can also rotate it over here, and there we go. And then again, I want to play with my white balance. Maybe we want to make it more blue, or we want to make it more purple. It's completely up to you. I think this looks pretty cool. So it's all about playing around, you know? Okay, there we have it. Now we'll click on done and again use this graduated filter to now start from the other side. And what I like to do is find a balance in my photo. Having a great balance in your photo is really important, and it's not always the easiest thing, but in editing you can do a lot to solve that balancing issue. So what I like to do, if you have a lot of light in a particular part of your photo, kind of do the opposite in the other corner of your photo, like right here. I would like to reset my highlight and just lower the exposure here, so we have this kind of darkness in the corner, and that will give this impression that there's something not too good over here, and we want to go to the good part of our video, of our photo, I'm sorry. So right here, I want to darken that up. Maybe not too much. You can also increase the shadows, maybe, or decrease them. Lower the highlights, and play again with the clarity. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I'm going to click done here, or we can also play with the color here. So we can introduce some purple color. Or a green color that will give that bad kind of feeling. Let's go back to our other graduated filter, and that's right over here. You can click on these buttons that you see. So we have these two here. This is the bottom one and this is the top one. So we're going to click on this top one and do this opposite thing. So we're going for a warmer color and kind of introducing that color, and we'll see what that will do to our photo. I think blue kind of looks good. Okay, and there we go. Again, I want to play with my white balance here because I think she's becoming a little bit too green, so I don't really like that. And just lower the blues a little bit in saturation. So go to the saturation tab and just lower the blues just a touch, and there we go. Really cool. Okay, so I think we're kind of almost there. I'm going to add one more radial filter right here, just at her hand, and I want to invert this. So we're actually working in this radial filter, and reset the highlights and just increase the exposure here, but not too much. This is a little bit overdone. and also change that color maybe to a yellow and make it very warm, something like that. So something is happening there, it's a little bit magical. And of course increase the feather here so it's very subtle.
And there we go. So now we have this very bright area in the photo and a very dark part of the photo, balancing each other out perfectly. The only thing that I would also kind of consider is playing a little bit with the adjustment brush. And if you do that, you can actually make this smaller. So we're going for the size and make it pretty small and just like paint over the model. And I'm just going to increase the brightness a little bit here. So I played already with the highlights and maybe also bring up the shadows, contrast, and make this a little bit more of a color, so it kind of fits the photo a little bit better. Not too much in saturation. I don't really like the saturation on the legs right here, so what I'll do is hold Alt and just paint this away, so we don't want to distract the audience too much, but I really do like the difference that we have here. So I'm going to delete it so you can see the difference and undo this. You can really see that we brought some color back, get some better skin tones over here, maybe also on the face a little bit more of these skin tones. Really cool. So again, the difference is kind of huge. Here we are working with an entirely blue photo, which doesn't bring any contrast, and that's really unprofessional in my opinion. Now we brought back some skin tones, it really pops a little bit more, we attract our audience towards the center of our photo, and boom, I'm done. So if we're going to look at the before and after photo, we do see a big difference. So this is the photo I came up with outside of the camera, immediately edited everything in Lightroom, and as you can see, it kind of looks pretty good. If you look back at the leg, like the issues we have, it's not a huge deal. We're working still with JPEG photos, but you can see that it kind of looks pretty nice, and we did a lot of editing. We kind of forced the image at the maximum that we could, but I really am very satisfied with the result. I don't know if you like this photo. If you do, let me know in the comments below, but this is kind of what I do when I take photos. I bring them in Lightroom, I edit them, I play around with all the settings. That's why I didn't really script this video like, yeah, put this value at this point and this value. It's not really a rocket science. You just play around and be creative and see what you can come up with, and at the end of the day, all that matters is that you like the photo. So I really love playing around with magical feelings. You can see that in my history. I really made a lot of magical visual effects videos, and now it's also kind of turning out that way in my photos. So it's really cool finding a style. I'm still not there yet, but yeah, I wish you the best with your own journey in Lightroom and photography. If you like this video, give this video a like. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel for more, and definitely check out our website. We have a bunch to offer for filmmakers and motion graphics artists, soon also for photographers, but that's a story for later. And then apart from that, I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.